What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to A Therapeutic Edge. Now, tonight on the table in front of us, we've got another Custom Knife Factory knife. This is the CKF Decepticon 4. That is a really long name for a very small knife. It is, however, a very interesting knife. Now, you guys know I'm not a huge small knife fan unless they're designed just right. And part of that is just because I've got these big old meat hooks. Small knives that aren't designed right don't work for me. This is a small knife that works just fine for me. Now, what do you get? Well, you get M390. It is all titanium. It is running on bearings. It has a truly interesting pass-through design. You can see the light. You can see right through this thing in a number of places. I love this knife, and I didn't think I would. I picked it up kind of on a whim from a friend of mine. You can find his channel over at Jimmy Slash. He is a super nice guy. He was moving along part of his CKF collection, and he moved it along to me. But here's the thing. Small knife. As a three-finger knife, because of the way this is designed with these cutouts, my hand locks right in. There is no wiggle. And if that's not comfortable, it has got this phenomenal choil up here that I can lock into, and now this thing is married to my hand. It really is very good. You get this big, fat chunk of M390 that comes down to a very slicey edge because of how tall that blade is. Well, how small is this thing? How small is it? Well, it's small. You get 1, 2 and a half inches of cutting surface on 1, 2, 3, just at 3 inches of M390. The grip area, and I'm going to do it both ways. First, we'll do it with the choil, is 1, 2, 3, 4, which you guys know is about perfect for me. Without the choil, it is 1, 2, 3, if you include the tail end of the knife. It is a small knife, but because of how tall it is, it allows you to get a really good handful, even though it is a smaller knife. CKF continues to make super interesting knives. They are very expensive, and they all are small batch, which is a bummer. This happens to be number 118 of 250. This is another one of those knives where I can't tell you to go out and get one because I don't think you'll find one, but you might if you're interested, if you're willing to hunt for them. And quite frankly, the design and quality in Custom Knife Factory knives, the CKF knives, is good enough that if your collection, like mine, is moving in this direction, collection direction? Clever. Feel free to hunt one down and see if you can find it. Now, I love the leaf-shaped blade, sort of. It's not really a leaf shape, but you get what I'm going at here. It is very tall. In fact, the blade on this little tiny knife is about 1.5 inches from top to bottom. The overall knife, which is something I skipped, and I will now correct, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 3/4 inches long. It is a very small knife.
It's perfect.
Women carry knives over here, likes it quite a bit. But so do I. It is a great pocket chunker. You can just dump this thing in a pocket and roll. The pocket clip is a little funky. I don't know if that's going to show up very well tonight. It's a unique design, and unfortunately it is settled right back down here in this cutout. But you can lift it a little bit, and it slides in and out of even reasonably thick jeans. I can talk, watch me go, because it has the space back here for it. This is a knife that is as much about design as it is usefulness, and if you're not into that kind of thing, this wouldn't be the knife for you. Let's do some size comparisons just for fun. Here it is against the Bug Out, the Elite CF model. And as you can see, the Bug Out is a longer knife, but certainly not larger. Although you do get, you even get about 1/2 inch more cutting area on the Bug Out. But of course, this knife, the Decepticon 4 is as much about its style as it is about its usefulness. But here's the magic trick. They've managed to make it so even though it is a high-style knife, it is exceptionally useful. You don't give anything up by carrying this, and that makes all the difference. Let's put it up against something bigger. Just for fun, we'll put it up against the CTM 20 CV Knockout from Kershaw, which of course is considerably larger. There will be a review on this coming up shortly. And I think last we'll do this up against the large CJRB Feldspar, just for fun. So really, the Decepticon 4 is a small knife, but a good one. Fun to carry and fun to use. And I love that about it. Let's do some measurements. It is not a particularly thick chunk of M390, which helps because it keeps it super slicey. We are 3.6, oh wow, that's really glary, 3.6 millimeters right back there at the thickest point. And the handle, at its thickest point, is almost 0.6 of an inch, so a little over a half inch. So here's the thing, right? That means that it is relatively thick this way. It's definitely tall, so it makes for a nice handful. It really does, and I love that. It's smooth on the bearings. But because the blade is relatively short, I wouldn't call it drop shut. Closed, it takes up a fair amount of real estate. Let's take a look. 1, 2 and 3/4. I mean, 1 3/4 inches at its fattest point. So it eats up a fair amount of pocket real estate. This is just one of those knives, which I just dropped. That's good. All right, I fixed it. This is just one of those knives. You don't buy this because of its pure functionality. You buy it because you like the way it looks, the design aesthetic. The flipper, for instance, is way up here, right? Now, when I first saw this, I thought, well, that's going to be awkward, except when you hold this knife, it just isn't. It works every single time. The detent is rock solid, and because the blade's relatively light, it's not going to pop out. But man, it snaps out of there with authority. It is, in fact, 2 different layers of titanium laid over on each other to create this sort of pattern. A lot of thought went into this. A lot of design aesthetic went into it, and it is exceptionally useful, as I keep saying, for such a small knife. It just gets to be one of my favorites because it's just weird, and yet it absolutely works. And that matters. At least it matters to me. I like knives that are funky, as long as they don't lean so far into that weirdness that they stop being useful. This is not one of those. This is just a useful, interesting knife from CKF. If you can find them, they're selling for about $300, which of course is a lot of money, but keep in mind that if you do find one, you're going to get one of 250, and that is part of the collector's mentality. It certainly has me. I hope you've enjoyed this. I know I've enjoyed sharing it with you. I've really enjoyed adding this to the collection. Women Carry Knives is over there laughing at me because I just cannot speak clearly this evening. Sometimes you just want a knife that's fun and interesting. This would be that knife. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about the CKF Decepticon 4 or any of the knives you've seen on my channel, feel free to ask down in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. I'd love to have you here on a regular basis, and we'll see you next time.